Hello everyone, this is Namrata. Hope you all are doing good and staying safe. In today's video session, we're gonna discuss on how to do the deployment of custom metadata using the ChangeSets. In our previous video session, we have covered in detail about what is custom metadata, how can you create a custom metadata, how can you query the custom metadata using the Salesforce object query language, how to call it using the in the Apex class. We also discussed various advantages of using custom metadata, and we also discussed on the limitations, certain limitations of custom metadata. So this session we will mainly concentrate on the deployment part. We will see how you can do the deployment using the chain sets. As you all know, custom metadata is an application metadata which is very similar to custom objects or custom settings. So the records of custom metadata type are the metadata and they are not the data. So as it says here, custom metadata is customizable, deployable, packageable, and upgradable application metadata. So using this custom metadata, it is very easily to do the deployment of custom metadata and its records from one org to the another org. So you can use any kind of deployment tool, whether you are using the ChangeSets or any third-party tool like Copado, GateSet. It is quite easy to do the deployment of custom metadata and its records. So before watching this specific video session, I would request you all to please watch our previous video related to custom metadata, where we have discussed in detail about what is custom metadata, why do we need the custom metadata, when you can use the custom metadata types, what and all are the field types which are supported by the custom metadata, how can you write a SQL query using for the custom metadata, how can you call it in the Apex class. We also discussed about the limitation. So now let us log in into our Salesforce DevOps. We have created a custom metadata in my Salesforce DevOps. If you're watching this video for the first time and if you wanted to go ahead and create a custom metadata, search in the quick find box, search for the custom metadata here. Under the custom code, here you can see you have the custom metadata type. I have created this custom metadata. So one of the advantages of using the custom metadata is it will not be counted against your SQL limit. So that is the reason we always prefer to either use the custom settings or custom metadata. But mostly we will prefer we in nowadays people are the organization is preferring to use the custom metadata because in the custom metadata you can move the metadata and its records, unlikely in the custom settings where only the metadata is eligible for the migration. So you cannot do the migration of the data using the migration of the data when you use the custom settings. So let's see, this is the metadata, custom metadata that we have created. We just created a single field for our demo purpose. I have given the name as demo value. We have the page layout, demo metadata layout, and then let us see what are the records that I have created in the demo metadata. So I have created two records. One is hello and the other one is the USA. As this is just for the MO purpose, I've just created two metadata records. And now we will see how can you deploy all of these components together using the chain set. Before you do the deployment, it is important that you establish a connection between your source and your target org. In order to verify whether the connection is established or not, let's navigate to the deployment settings and verify whether the connection is established between the source and the target. Here you see, this is my target org, so the connection is already established. Since the connection is already established, now let us go to the outbound chain sets and do the deployment from the source. So here I have created this. Let's not worry too much. Let us try to create a new chain set, SFDC one stop deployment. It is always a best practice to write down the description. Click on save. Now let us add the ChangeSets components here. Click on add button. Under the component type, from the list of values from the pick list, choose the custom metadata. You can see here custom metadata. Demo metadata is being displayed here. Select that specific component and click on add to change sets. Then you need to add the custom fields, you need to add the page layout, and then you also need to add the records, right? So let's see how you can do that. First, let us click on view or add the dependencies. Here you see a dependency is created when one component needs another component permission or preference to be valid. The components in this list have dependencies. Although you don't have to add the dependent components to the chain set, you should make sure that they exist in the organization when the chain sets will be deployed. So you add the dependencies. These are the two. Click to add to chain set. So now we have added metadata, we have added the page layout, we have also added the fields. Now how can you add the records? So in order to add the records, click on add, and the record name is, what is the record name that we have created? When you navigate to the custom metadata and click on manage metadata, it is demo metadata. This is the record, right? So you have to search with this specific name, demo metadata. So under the component type, search for the demo metadata. So here you see it is visible under the components type, and these are the two records which are showing. So select those two records and click on add to change sets. So that's how you can easily add the custom metadata type. You can add the page layout by clicking on the view or add dependencies. Custom field can also be added using the dependencies, and this is something which you can select the component type and add the metadata records as well. So once you add all the components to the chain sets, click on upload the chain sets. This upload is it is gonna take some time. So how can you confirm that the upload is successful to the target? The status of the will be changed. That is, now you can see right here. You let's do the upload. The target. Click on upload. So it says your upload is currently in progress. We will send you an email when it is complete. And here you can see that the status of the upload is open, and you can see all of these 5 components are getting uploaded to your target org. So let's go back to the outbound chain sets. Here you can see the status is open. Only once the status is closed, this specific SFDC one-stop component, one-stop deployment will be visible into your target org. So in the meantime, let us log in into the target org, that is my developer 2 sandbox. So here I have already logged in into my developer sandbox. So navigate to the inbound chain sets. Inbound chain sets. So whatever the changes from the source will be visible under the inbound chain sets under the pending deployments. Let it take some time. It is going to take some time. You can verify whether the status of this particular deployment is complete or closed or not. You see that the chain sets awaiting deployment. Once the chain sets is deployed successfully to your target, it will be shown here. The status is still open. This is going to take some time. Once you go ahead and do the deployment, that is from the source to the target, it will be visible over here. And it is always important that you first validate the components. Once you validate the components, then you can click on the deploy. Validate the components, which means that the changes will not be deployed to your target. When you only click on deploy, that is deploy button, the change sets will be deployed successfully to your target. Once the change sets are deployed successfully to your target environment, then you can verify by navigating to the custom metadata types and verify whether the metadata type, page layout, custom fields, and manage records are deployed successfully or not. And so as I was mentioning, right, custom metadata is very similar to the custom objects or the custom settings. So we prefer to use the custom metadata because it is very easy that you can do the deployment of the custom metadata as well as its records. Unlike the custom settings, wherein only the metadata is eligible for the deployment. The data what you have in the custom settings is not eligible for the deployment. So that is the reason why nowadays it is preferred to use the custom metadata compared to the over to the custom settings. But both of these two, custom, whether it is a custom metadata or the custom settings, it is it doesn't count towards the SOQL query limits for each of the Apex transaction. As it says, right, custom metadata types enable you to create your own setup objects whose records are metadata rather than the data. These are typically used to define the application configurations that needs to be migrated from one environment to the another or packaged or installed. So rather than building the apps from the data records in the custom objects or the settings, you can create the custom metadata types and add the metadata records with all the manageability that comes within the metadata package, deploy, and you can easily do the upgradation. So querying custom metadata records doesn't count under the SQL. So those are the advantages of using the custom metadata. Now let us see whether whether my outbound chain set the status is closed. Only once the status is closed, yes, you see here the status is closed, you will not be able to view that in your target. Let's refresh the target environment and verify whether you are able to view that change sets here. Let's also recap certain limitations of the custom metadata. Certain limitations of custom metadata is here, as I was mentioning in my previous video channel, fields per custom metadata type or record, it is only 100. You can create only 100 fields. As you saw, we just created one field, right? So likewise, you can only create 100 fields. Custom metadata types per org, it's 200. So currently, I've just created one custom metadata type, that is demo metadata. So if for your current organization, if you're an organization for your current org, it is 200, the limit is 200. The characters per description, per field description, it is 1000. The records written per transaction is 1500. Whatever you have certain global pick list values, right, like you have yes, no, none, so these are called as global pick list values. So you cannot have such kind of global pick list values which is not supported in the custom metadata. So these are certain limitations of the custom metadata. Now let's navigate back to the inbound chain sets. So here you can see the inbound chain sets it is appearing under the chain sets awaiting the deployment. Click on the inbound chain set. Yeah, it's gonna take some time. So rather than that, let's from the same click on the validate. Let it refresh for, let me try to refresh the custom, this inbound chain sets. So whoever is watching our video for the first time, right, if at all you wanted to understand, get a deeper understanding about the chain sets, you can navigate to our SFDC one-stop playlist. Here you can see we have covered many tutorials related to various topics. So specific to deployment, we have you can navigate to the Salesforce deployment tutorial wherein we have used the chain sets. You can understand what is a deployment, how can you do the deployment using the chain set, what is an inbound chain set, what is an outbound chain set. So you can go to the view playlist and you can listen to these specific videos related to the deployment. Click on validate here and choose the test component. Default, if you're having any test classes, you can run the local test, run all test, or run any specified test. I am somehow not able to see that validate button as enabled. It is showing as disabled. Let us see. I think it is gonna take some time, couple of minutes for the synchronization to happen between the source and your target org. So let us try to refresh it once again and verify whether you are able to validate the package or not. As I was mentioning, right, only once you validate the package, it is always a good practice to validate the package and then do the deployment. Yeah, click on validate. Yeah, you can see the button is enabled now. Click on validate. You can view the status, that is track the status by going into the deployment status. If your validation is successful, then you can go ahead and do the deployment. Validation is successful. Let's go back, refresh the page, and now you can do the deployment. Click on deploy. Use the same default option, deploy. Click on OK. When you try to refresh the deployment status page in order to track this progress, here you can see that my custom metadata is deployed successfully. Now, how will you verify whether the changes got deployed successfully to your target or not? So you can navigate to the custom metadata types. You can see the metadata component got deployed successfully. Let us see whether we have just one field, right? The custom field, it's got deployed successfully. Demo metadata layout, this is also deployed successfully. Now let us see whether the records hello and USA, those are the two records that we have, right? Whether those two records got deployed successfully or not. Yeah, you see here these two records also got deployed. So as I was saying earlier, right? So using the if you use the custom metadata, it is easier. You can easily go ahead and do the deployment of custom metadata and its orgs. That is, both the custom metadata and its related records can be moved from one org to the another. So that is the importance of the custom metadata. So that is what we have for today's session. Until we come up with our next video session, please to take care of yourself. Signing off, yours Namrata Kadiyala. Bye bye.